you on this stormy morning to come together for hopefully a little bit of a quiet time together in prayer and reflection. We'll begin our service today on page 112 with Shabbat morning service number 2, which I have the pleasure of co-leading. I'll be leading the first part, and then I'll be handing over to Emily, one of the Baalat Tfilah in the Baalat Tfilah program from Ealing. So thank you for being with us. Please stand as we sing Northwood together on page 112. Mishknotecha Yisrael, Mishknotecha Yisrael, Va'ani berov chastecha, ahavo beitecha, eштachave, el hechal kodshecha, be'yiratecha, el hechal kodshecha, Adonai ahavti me'od beitecha u'mekom mishkan kevodecha va'ani eshtachave ve'echa evrecha lifnei Adonai osi va'ani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim berov chastecha aneni be'emet yishecha. May be seated. Eternal God, a mystery surrounds my life. What came before it and what lies beyond it are shrouded in darkness. But in the darkness is your presence, and in the mystery your love. No mind can grasp the splendor of your being. No tongue express the majesty of your worth. Yet there are times when we sense a reality that is beyond our mortal sight. May this Sabbath be such a time for us. Help us to hear your voice, to find your image in our souls, and to be at peace. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahim. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahim. Elohai neshama shenatata אתה בראתה, אתה יצרת, אתה נפחת בי, ואתה משמרה בקרבי, כל זמן שהנשמה בקרבי. מודה אני לפניך, אדוני אלוהי ואלוהי אבותיי, ריבון כל המעשים, אדון כל הנשמות. ברוך אתה אדוני, אשר בידו נפש כל חי, ורוח כל בשר איש. And together, ברוך שאמר והיה העולם, ברוך הוא. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המהולל בפי עמו, משובח ומפואר בלשון חסידיו ועבדיו. בשבחות ובזמירות נגדל לך ונמליכך, מלכנו יחיד חי העולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מהולל בתשבחות. To you the stars of morning sing, from you their radiance bright did spring. And steadfast in their vigils day and night, your angels flooded with fervor ring your praise. They teach the holy ones to bring into your house the breath of early light. The heavens declare the glory of God. Day unto day utter speech. Yet there is no speech, there are no words. And still their call goes out to all the earth. God's teaching is perfect. God's word is unfailing. God's precepts are right. God's commandments are clear. God's doctrine is pure. God's guidance is true. They are more to be desired than gold, than any amount of fine gold. Your servant pays heed to them. Much depends. Who is aware of errors? Cleanse me therefore of unconscious sin. Hold back your servant also from willful sins, not control. Then I shall be blameless. יהיו לרצון נמרתי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי, וגואלי. תהיות ושירים מארון, כי אליך נפשי תערון. נפשי רינה בצל ידיך לדעת, כל חסדיך. מדי דברי בכבודך, Please rise. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכים, האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ. כי לך נאה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, שיר ושבחה, הלל וזמרה, ברכות והודעות מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בשירי זמרה.
Continue on page 135. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Amen.
Praise the one to whom our praise is due.
Praise the eternal one, to whom our praise is due.
We praise the eternal one, our God, sovereign of the universe, maker of light and creator of darkness, author of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it, and in your goodness you renew creation continually day by day. How manifold are your works, O God! With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, creator of the earth. Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life. So be gracious to us. I echad.
Adonai Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shem kavod malchutei le'olam ha'ed.
Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod.
Adonai Elohecha, b'chol avavacha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אלוהים ציווך היום על לבביך, ושננתם לבניך ודברת בם, ושבתך בביתך, ודתך בדרך, ופשטך וקמך, ושעת מאוד על ידך, וחיו לתותפות עיניך. ותעתם מזוזות ביתך ובשורך.
למען תזכרו, עשיתם כל מצוותיי, כי אתם קדושים אלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, מאור
Sound, established, and enduring are these words, now and forever. True it is, eternal one, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then, with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang together. Miriam and all Israel together sang to you this song. A new song the redeemed sang to your name at the shore of the sea. With one accord they gave thanks and proclaimed your sovereignty. Adonai Imloch le'olam va'ed. To Israel, lomar et rega Israel, lo Eloheinu Adonai, Zebaoth Shemo, Kadosh Israel, Baruch Adonai, O Israel, O Adonai sefatatita ufi agiteni latecha. Adonai sefatatita ufi agiteni latecha. Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth shall declare your praise. Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth shall declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el, ha'gadol, ha'gabor, ha'hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Hasidim Tovim, Vekoneh HaKol, V'zecheh Hasdei Avet V'machot Umevei Golei Livnei V'hem, Leman Shemo B'hava, Melech Hosei Omeshi Omagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Megen Abraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Metim Atah Rab Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Umarid HaGeshem, Mizrach HaShemesh Umarid HaTal, Mechachel Hayim B'Hesed, Machayei Metim B'Rachamim Rabim, Tomek Noflim U'Efer Ulim, U'Metei Asurim, U'Machei Memanato Lishanei Afam, Mikom Al-Chabal Gavorot, U'Midom Elah, Melech Menit U'Machayei, U'Metzmiel Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Et Alehot Metim, Baruch atah Adonai, Machayei HaMetim. מקדש עצמה בעולם כשם, שמקדשים אותו בשפי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך. קדוש, 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 אדוני זבאות, מלא כבוד, כבודו מלא עולם. Baruch kavod Adonai ממקומו כמוכנו תופיע, ותמלוך אלינו, כי מכים אנחנו לך. אדוני לעולם, אלוהי יגזיון, לדור generation to generation, we will make known your greatness. To the end of time, we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O our God, shall never depart from our lips. You inspired our ancestors to hallow this day your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn anew that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your influence. We thank you for the Shabbat day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness and consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful and good. God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Shabbat enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Shabbat. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. Him alone we worship in you. We give thanks that you, Eternal One, are our God, as you are the God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives, which are in your hand, for our souls, which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence which we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. Praise you, God, source of goodness, whom our thanks are due. Grant peace, welfare, and blessing, grace, love, and mercy to us and to all Israel, your people. As a loving parent, bless us with the light of your presence, that by the light of your presence, Eternal God, you have revealed to us the law of life, a love of kindness and righteousness, blessing and mercy, life and peace. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. Praise O God, the source of peace. The work at Adonai, O salvation. Take a moment for silent reflection. Salam Rifu, Hagion Yuknei Lefnecha, Zanai Zori, Bagoel. Oh, say Shalom Bimama, Uya say Shalom Aleinu, Be'al Kol Israel, Be'al Kol B'nei Adam, Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu be'al kol Israel, Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu be'al kol Israel, Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom.
Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
May the Most High source of perfect peace grant peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world.
Amen. We now turn to our Torah service, which can be found on page 490. Page 490. And if those of you who've got mitzvot, who thankfully have taken on a mitzvah in the service at the last moment, if you would join me on the upper bima as well, so that we can get ready for our Torah service. And I have a copy here also, so you don't necessarily need to bring your own copy of the Haftarah. But so we're on page 490. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear and learn to revere the Eternal One your God, and observe faithfully all the precepts of this Torah. And let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere the Eternal One your God. Please rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Gadlul Adonai iti, uneromemo Shemo Yachbar. וההוד כי חי בשמיים ובארץ לך אדוני הממלכה והמית נעשה Wonderful. You may all be seated. Our parasha this week is Parashat Yitro, named after Jethro, who is, how is he related to Moses? Father-in-law. Moses' father-in-law. Jethro, the Midianite priest, is Moses' father-in-law, and is in this Torah portion accredited with giving Moses very important advice about leadership. Don't try to do everything yourself. So we're not going to read that wonderful passage. It is a wonderful passage. Parashat Yitro is one of those Torah portions where you're spoiled for choice for good passages. It also, the most famous section of it is the Ten Commandments. But because we are going to hear the Ten Commandments read in not so long from the Kabbalah Torah class, so I think, Hannah, you're practicing your commandment already. I thought instead of reading the section from the Ten Commandments, I will read the section just before that, as the Israelites and Moses prepare to hear the Ten Commandments, which is also a very interesting section. So we are going to read from chapter 19. Let me just make sure I get to the right chapter. Chapter 19, verse 1 is where we're going to start.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher Adonai, Noten HaTorah.
Amen. I'm going to give you the Torah, Dennis, because I know you always like to follow along. We're reading from there, so you get to follow along there, or you can just follow along on the scroll, whatever you prefer. בחודש השלישי לצאת בני ישראל מארץ מצרים. And it was in the 3rd month that the Israelites went from the land of Egypt. ביום הזה באו מדבר סיני. And on that very day they arrived in the wilderness of Sinai, in the desert of Sinai. ויסעו מרפידים ויבואו מדבר סיני. And they journeyed from Rephidim to arrive at the wilderness of Sinai. ויחנו במדבר, and they settled there in the wilderness. ויחן שם ישראל נגד ההר, and they positioned themselves facing the mountain. ומשה עלה אל האלוהים, ויקרא אליו אדוני מן ההר לאמור. And Moses went up to the God. Very interesting way of describing it. Ha-Elohim, not just God, but the God. Maybe making some people think that maybe there was some doubt whether there was just one God. So the Egyptians certainly had more than one God. But Moses goes up to the God, and there the Eternal One spoke to him from the mountain, saying, Ko tomar leveit Yaakov, and thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, Vataged levnei Yisrael, and you shall tell the Israelites, Atem ra'item asher asiti lemitzrayim, you have seen what I have done to the Egyptians. V'asatchem al kanfei nesharim, and I have lifted you on the wings of the eagles. If you ever take the shared taxi from Ben Gurion Airport to Jerusalem, it's called the Nesher, the eagle. It isn't as fast as an eagle should fly. V'avietchem elai, and I have brought you to me. V'ata im shamoa tishmeu bekoli, ushmartem et briti, v'yitem li segula mikol ha'amim, ki li kol ha'aretz. And now if you surely will listen to my voice and keep my covenant, and then you shall be my most treasured possession of all the people, for mine is the whole world. V'atem tihiyu li mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Ele hadvarim asher tidaber el bnei Yisrael. These are the words that you shall say to the Israelites. ויבוא משה ויקרא לזקני העם. And Moses went and called upon the elders of the people. וישם לפניהם את כל הדברים האלה. And he put before them all these words, אשר ציווהו אדוני, that the Eternal One had commanded him. ויענו כל העם יחדיו. And all the people answered as one, vayomru, saying, Kol asher diber Adonai naaseh. Everything that the Eternal One has said, we shall do. Vayashev Moshe et divrei ha'am el Adonai. And Moses took back the words of the people to the Eternal One. It's a very interesting scenario here, because there is a sense of a God who's very immanent to the people, and yet still it seems that God needs Moses as the messenger going back and forth. Even God can't hear what the people say. Moses has to go back to tell God what the people have said. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, and the Eternal One said to Moses, Hine anochi ba elecha be'av ha'anan, ba'avur yishma ha'am bedabri imach. Behold, I will come to you in the thick of a cloud, so that the people can hear my words to you. So now God is saying, the people should hear that I, the Eternal One, am talking to you directly. V'gam b'cha Ya'aminu le'olam, so that they may also put their faith, their trust in you forever. Vayaged Moshe et divrei ha'am el Adonai, and Moses conveyed the words of the people to the Eternal One. So we seem to have a problem with the order, because we thought Moses was already telling God what the people had said, but God got in there first. But now Moses is telling God what the people had said. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, and the Eternal One said to Moses, Lech el ha'am, go to the mountain, v'kidashtam hayom umachar, and they, the people, shall purify themselves today and tomorrow. V'chibsu simlotam, and they shall wash their clothes. V'hayun nechonim leyom hashlishi, and they shall be ready on the third day. Ki v'yom hashlishi yered Adonai le'inei kol ha'am al har Sinai. For on the third day, the Eternal One will descend before the eyes of the whole people unto Mount Sinai. V'higibilta et ha'am saviv le'mor, and you shall set boundaries for the people around it, saying, Hishamru lachem alot bahar. Make sure, guard yourself beware from going up onto the mountain. So don't go up onto the mountain. V'nega beketzehu, that you shall touch its surroundings. Kol hanogea behar mot yumat. Anyone who will touch the mountain shall surely die. Lo tig'a bo yad ki kol yisakel u yaro yireh im behema im ish lo yichyeh. For anyone, no hand shall touch the mountain, shall touch it, lest they be stoned or shot with an arrow. I always joke that my Hebrew is very poor in vocabulary, because I know death sentence in many different ways, but not necessarily what the freezer is called. But here we have two of the different death sentences: death by stoning or death by shooting with an arrow. Whether it's an animal or a person, they shall not live. So not even animals were allowed to go near the mountain. B'meshech hayovel hema ya'alu behar. But when the Jubilee is announced, the sound of the Jubilee was the shofar. Very good. The shofar. When you can hear the shofar being blown, then you can go up onto the mountain. Where have I lost my I've lost my mountain. Bahar. Vayered Moshe min hahar, and Moses went down from the mountain. He didn't lose the mountain. El ha'am, to the people. Vayekadesh et ha'am, and the people purified themselves. V'sur simlotam, and they washed their clothes. Vayomer el ha'am, and he said to the people, Hayu nechonim lishleshet yamim, and you shall be ready on the third day. Al tikshu el isha, do not go near a woman. It's a very complicated, difficult passage. It's very interesting. God did not say to Moses, tell the Israelites not to go near a woman, but Moses seems to suggest you shall not go near a woman. God had just said nobody should come near the mountain. And there's a lot of biblical thought of biblical scholars now about what does that mean, that exactly at that moment when we're preparing for hearing the revelation, women are portrayed as something we mustn't go near. What does that say? Vayehi b'yom hashlishi v'hiyot haboker, and it was on the third day, exactly when morning was rising, vayehi kolot ubraktikim, and there was thunder and lightning. The anan kibed al hahar, and a heavy cloud was on top of the mountain. V'kol shofar chazak me'od. And the sound of the shofar was very, very loud. Vayechared kol ha'am, and the whole people trembled. And this root charad is where we get the charedim, the term used for the ultra-Orthodox who tremble before God. Kol ha'am asher b'machanev, all the people who were in the encampment. Ve'yotzeh Moshe et ha'am likrat ha'elohim min ha'machaneh. And Moses took the people out from the camp to greet the God. Vayityatzvu betachtit hahar, and they placed themselves at the base of the mountain. And we're going to finish here, and then they're going to hear the Ten Commandments.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'sochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And if you would please rise as we lift the scroll. And I chose this Torah service because of the reference to Lehar Kodsho, God's holy mountain. Although we're not quite sure whether this passage is probably refers more to the mountain in Jerusalem than to Sinai, but I thought it's a nice connection for our Torah portion. We're going to turn to our Haftarah, which is you may be seated, which is from the book of Isaiah chapter 6. It connects to our Sidra because it also contains a reference to the revelation of God to Isaiah. The reason, most of you will know at least one verse from this passage. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot. We have it included in our Amidah every Shabbat. So this famous passage is from this Haftarah that we're reading. Thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'cha b'nvi'im tovim, v'ratzav v'divreihem hane'emarim b'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah, u'v'Moshe avdo, u'v'Yisrael amo, u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet b'tzedek.
In the year King Uzziah died, I saw my liege seated on a throne, high and exalted, with a robe whose train filled the temple. Seraphim stood about, each with 6 wings, 2 covering the face, 2 covering the body, and 2 to fly with. And each called to the other, Holy, holy, holy is God of heaven's hosts, whose presence fills all the earth. At the sound of the call, the foundations shook, and the temple filled with smoke. Woe is me, said I am lost, for I am a man of impure lips, and I live among a people of impure lips. Yet these eyes of mine have seen the Sovereign, the God of heaven's host. But one of the seraphim flew over to me with a live coal, which he had taken from the altar. With a pair of tongs, he touched my lips with it, saying, Now that this has touched your lips, your guilt is gone, your sin is wiped clean. Then I heard the voice of my liege saying, Whom shall I send? Whom shall go on our behalf? And I said, Here I am, send me. God said, Go and tell this people. Hear again and again, but without understanding. Look again and again, but without perceiving. Dull this people's mind, stop its ears and cloud its eyes, or it may see with its eyes and hear with its ears and understand with its mind and return to me and be healed. My liege, said I, how long? And God said, Till cities are desolate without people, and houses are empty, and the land is an utter desolation. For the Eternal will drive the people far away, and many places in the land shall be abandoned. And even when a tenth of the people is left, and its turn it shall be burnt off like an oak or a terebinth, cut down, yet leaving a stump that shall be a holy seed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, sur kol ha'olamim, tzaddik b'kol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'oseh, hamdaber kayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah, v'al ha'avodah, v'al hanvi'im, v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, likdusha v'limnucha, v'chavod ultifaret. Al ha'kol Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, Barachim otach, Yitbarach Shimcha b'fi kol hai, tamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Would you please stand? And we're on page 493 for the prayer for our government. Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family, for those who govern our country and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless all our brothers and sisters of the house of Israel who enter synagogues to pray and to give aid to those in need. May the Holy One, to whom all praise is due, hear their prayers and help them to fulfill their aspirations for good. Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbors, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem. Yihallelu et Shem Adonai, ki nizgav shemo levado. This is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel in time to come, says the Eternal One. I will put my teaching within them and engrave it on their hearts.
I will be their God, and they shall be my people. No longer shall anyone need to teach a friend or neighbor to know me, for they all shall know me, young and old alike.
Are rabbis allowed to cry on the bimah? One of my teachers at the Leo Baeck College was adamant that such a display of emotion was absolutely inappropriate for any rabbi. His take on it was simple. It's selfish, putting the rabbi rather than the congregation at the center of attention. A few years ago, I attended a retirement service for Rabbi Rubenstein of Central Synagogue, New York. It was an extravaganza with a flash mob organized by a Broadway choreographer, with every person who was something in Reform Judaism present in the congregation. Rabbi Rubenstein preached for 20 minutes and wept all the way through. He had accompanied the congregation through decades of ups and downs, including a fire that destroyed the cathedral-like sanctuary almost completely, and supporting the hundreds of families who lost loved ones on 9/11. How could he not shed a tear looking at his successes despite these challenges? Listening to Rabbi Rubenstein's sermon and witnessing his tears, I decided that on this occasion, I couldn't agree with my teacher from the college. Rabbi Rubenstein's tears were not attention-seeking. They were a sign of courage. Courage to be vulnerable in front of everyone. Professor Brené Brown of Houston University, who researches courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy, discusses the importance of being vulnerable for creating a sense of belonging, saying, "True belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world, when we dare to be vulnerable." I find her words particularly powerful in the context of showing vulnerability in the synagogue. How can we truly become a community united in prayer if we are not able to be vulnerable together? And how could a rabbi lead a congregation if she or he does not have the courage to display vulnerability too? Far from being weakness, vulnerability is incredibly powerful. As Professor Brown puts it, vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. It is the source of hope, empathy, accountability, and authenticity. And if we want greater clarity in our purpose or deeper and more meaningful spiritual lives, vulnerability is the path. And yet, we recognize that it is a fearful thing to be vulnerable. Our fear of the pain of disappointment means we often forgo the possibilities of love and joy and true belonging. We choose to play it safe and distance ourselves from real emotional involvements. As the writer C.S. Lewis observed, to love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything, and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you went to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it carefully round with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. To love is to be vulnerable. Our Jewish tradition reminds us in this week's Torah portion of the important place of fear in our lives. We just read the passage of the Jewish people standing at Mount Sinai. God promised them that they will become a kingdom of priests and a holy people. The people responded as one, all that the Eternal One tells us we will do. After 3 days of preparation, the moment to approach the mountain had come. Mount Sinai was aglow with thunder and lightning, full of smoke with the sound of the shofar blasting. It must have been the most awesome, amazing moment, filled with such wonder and, yes, fear. As the Torah tells us, the people saw and trembled. It is easy to misinterpret this passage and the later commandment found in Deuteronomy chapter 6 to mean that the fear of God is intended to fill us with anxiety or dread. Instead, it is supposed to give us a mechanism to remove our lesser fears. The Jewish people at Sinai finally understood that they no longer had to fear the Egyptians or anyone else because God was with them. Strange as it may seem, God's commandment to fear God is an expression of God's love, a precious gift, a gift that calls on us to look at all the challenges that confront us, not with fear, but as opportunities for growth. If we live our lives in awe of God, a better translation of the Hebrew word irah than fear, we can sense God's presence in our lives, giving us the courage and strength to be vulnerable. As it says at the end of the Adon Olam, Adonai li velo ira. God is with me, I will not fear. So let us have the courage to be vulnerable in our lives and especially in synagogue. Instead of fear of disappointment, let's embrace the awe of God. For as Professor Brown highlights, faith is a place of mystery, where we find the courage to believe in what we cannot see and the strength to let go of our fear of uncertainty. The Hasidic master Rebbe Nachman taught, Kol haolam kulo gesher tzar me'od, v'ha'ikar lo lefachad klal. The whole world is a very narrow bridge, but the main thing is to never be afraid. This world is indeed a narrow bridge, filled with pitfalls, each of which is an opportunity to embrace our vulnerability as the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. Instead of thinking of vulnerability as weakness, let us be reminded that it is the source of courage, which allows us to deal with whatever life throws at us. And if we need a little encouragement, let us recall the end of the Adon Olam, Adonai li velo ira. God is with me, I will not fear. Amen. With those thoughts, we're going to turn to our concluding prayers. On page 520, I invite you to stand for the Aleinu. On page 520. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might, when false gods will vanish from our hearts, and idolatry cease forever. Help us to perfect the world by bringing it under your unchallenged rule, when all your name relinquish evil and turn to you alone. May all who dwell on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you let them humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honor. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. For ultimate sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory. As it is written, the Eternal One shall reign forever. It has been said, the Eternal God shall rule over all the earth. On that day the Eternal God shall be one, and known to be one. The growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts, and that things are not so ill with you and me as they might have been is half owing to the number who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs. Even when they are gone, the departed are with us. They inspire us to live as in their higher moments they themselves sought to live. We remember them now. They remain in our hearts. They are a continual blessing. On this Shabbat, we think of those whose yahrzeit falls at this time. Audrey and Ian Herman, the mother and brother of Nadia Geller. Evelyn Elton, the mother of Gary Elton, mother-in-law of Annie, grandmother of Sarah and James. Leonard Sharp, the father of Heather Sharp. Lily Conn, the mother of Elkin Conn. Lionel Seymour, father of Anthony and Tessa, father-in-law of Linda. Marjorie Kettle, the mother of John Kettle. And Stella Measure, the grandmother of Katie Bay. Zichronam Livracha, may their memory be a source of blessing as we recite the Kaddish together. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabba, Belma Divrach Yerutei v'yamlich Malchutei, V'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayedachon Beit Yisrael, B'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba mevorach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitalel v'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha b'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechamata, Damiran balma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol b'nei Adam v'imru Amen. May the Most High Source of perfect peace grant peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity. Let us say Amen. Please be seated. In a moment we're going to conclude with Adon Olam. And if you haven't recently looked at the words, at the translation of Adon Olam, then I do encourage you to take a look at it. It's really a beautiful prayer to consider. Talking about prayers, if you want to explore, if you either enjoy creative writing or you simply want to explore a way of finding your own words to respond to whatever life throws at you, then we have on Tuesday from 1:30 till 3:30 p.m. a unique opportunity to learn with American-Israeli liturgist Alden Solovay. He's really one of the foremost modern liturgists of our age. He's published several volumes of prayers and will help us to explore a little bit what does it mean to come up with a new voice for ancient yearnings and how we can anchor that in our Jewish tradition. So if you are available on Tuesday, we'd love to see you. If you could let me know that you're planning to come, that will just help us to know how many photocopies to make. And next Shabbat, next Saturday, 22nd of February at 11 a.m., I hope to see all of you back here as we say goodbye to Cantor Tamara and wish her all the very best for her next steps. I'm sure most of you have heard by now that Cantor Tamara has been given the wonderful opportunity of a full-time post at Synagogue. What is their gain is our loss, but we look forward to showing our appreciation and celebrating once more with Cantor Tamara on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. and then the following week on the Friday the 28th of February at 6:30 p.m. with a very relaxed, chilled out service. And then if you are already excited about Purim, Purim is coming up faster than you think. So we're going to be celebrating Purim on the Shabbat just before Purim, on the 6th and 7th of March. Lots of activities for the children, but there will also be things for the adults as well, so don't miss out. If you didn't come last night, you did miss the rabbi's practice in dressing up, as we had our wonderful flower power service last night, which was great fun. You can still catch it online on YouTube or on our website as one of the recorded service. It was a great fun service. Once a year is exactly the right amount for it, but once a year it is really spectacular. So we're going to conclude with Adon Olam on page 525. Olam Hashem Allah בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצו כל, אזוי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל, וידו נמלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכבירה, והוא ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמזרח, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי ויצרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אפקיד רוחי, ותישן ואירה, ואם רוחי גוויעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא. Into your hand I place my soul, asleep, awake, for you are near. And with my soul, my body too, you are my God, I shall not fear. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Do join us next door for a Kiddush. And thank you to Emily for leading part of our service.